Well, we live in a time when video games are becoming such important media that it's almost being shoved down our throats nowadays. And speaking of games that have been shoved down every gamer's throat, we have a ensemble of games to talk to, but not about, but none other is greater and more pronounced than the old Baldur's Gate 3 by Larian Studios, the ungodly success that it became and developed into, and now every single message board is talking about it. And I'd like to share my personal opinions on it. Now, games are a purely subjective art form, meaning that what I might love, you may not love the exact same thing, and vice versa. It's like art form in movies. I mean, we can generally agree that a game is good or a movie is good, but ultimately it turns up to the person's opinion on the product or the experience that he or she is looking to attain. And while I do not deny that it is a well crafted game and that there are many elements to it that may be amazing and enjoyable for people, I'm simply saying that from my own personal thoughts and opinions, Baldur's Gate 3 does not interest me in the fucking slightest. Now, I was a big fan of Divinity. I picked that up on a sale, Divinity 1, and me and my bro had a good time playing it just on the console version one time. It was a stellar experience. And I even picked up number 2. But the problem is that we could never really get into it because, well, in my opinion, turn-based combat is pretty fucking lame. And although it does have its enjoyable moments, and there are games where it fits great, ultimately a game is really gonna do less for me with turn-based combat. Now that's in stark contrast to what you've been seeing online in terms of hype and uh, attitude towards this specific game. It's the best game ever made. It's the game that is better than any other game you've ever played, and it's the only game that is worth playing at today's particular period. A very strange anecdote, considering that just not too long ago we had other games that had the same thing. Who can remember Hogwarts Legacy? The best game ever, wonderful game. You'll never need to play anything else because Hogwarts Legacy is the best. And, well, you know what? I never really cared too much about Harry Potter, and I think it's kind of a mess setting for a video game, honestly. I didn't really care too much about Harry Potter or anything. I do think it's enjoyable, and I'll watch the movies of Harry Potter, but if I was going to spend all this time in a video game, I'd want to be blowing up monsters with a shotgun or in some fantasy combat situation with knights and armors and things. Not saying that anything against people who like Harry Potter's. I'm just saying that I wouldn't go out and shove $60 or 80 or whatever it is to get this kind of experience. And it's just simply something that I was never interested in and actually committing to play. I thought it was interesting. I looked at it, and that's about as far as I ever went with Hogwarts Legacy. Yet another game releases that is the best game ever. Now we're noticing a trend. Notice how this happens a lot in gaming nowadays. And it's a particular thing that happened with Elden Ring, because to be honest, I just never really liked the idea of Dark Souls games. I commend them for their art style and their environment, and even played a couple here and there. And obviously, that level of difficult rolling and boss fighting and difficulty is seeping its way into other games. I've noticed it sort of in Assassin's Creed Odyssey itself. But this type of challenging gameplay is nothing new, and people seem to flock to the Dark Souls name just because it's a Souls-like now is a realistic thought towards video games now. It's a type of video game. It's a Souls-like. It's really hard. You have to conserve everything. You have to learn every move. Um, it's just not a type of game I never really liked very much, and I was never really too into any kind of mega difficulty fighting third-person fantasy-esque type games, and I never really liked those. So when Elden Ring came out, you can imagine I was kind of just like, cool. Don't really give a fuck. I mean, that's a definition of how gaming is nowadays. Is that you can quite literally an amazing game comes out, it gets 110 out of 10 reviews, best game ever made, unbelievable, need to play it right now, and you don't have to. And I feel like there's a lot of people who just flock to those kinds of things just because we live in a generation that's uh, hype culture. You know, people hype things up and they say that everybody else should do those same things and like those same things. And generally, with the population, I mean, most people flock to one popular idea, one movie, one um, music artist, one video game. You know, they'll all flock to something that is new and popular and is the it in thing. It's disturbing and annoying in fucking video games because I love video games. I've loved video games my whole fucking life and played them my whole life. And I don't need other people to really tell me what video games to play and what video games I should play because I'm able to form those opinions and thoughts myself. And I will love gladly go to back to a game that's from 2010 and just fucking fiend for it because it's cool and it's awesome and I and get enjoyment out of it. And I feel like there's a lot of people, you know, same with like it's our culture. It's with like phones and artists and everything. Younger generation just follows the herd and they're like cattle. People are so like cattle. They'll just follow the herd to whatever is popular and and new and they it it shadows their opinion on something. Now I'm in no way saying that Baldur's Gate 3 is a great bad game. If you like that, go ahead and like it. It's a great game, I'm sure. I'm sure it has quality and for the screen grabs I've seen, it's pretty like good looking graphically. There's some interesting set pieces, but I want to go to just my general thought on the subject because I'm not gonna buy Baldur's Gate 3. I don't want that experience. I don't need that experience. I know what I'm in for. I know what it's all about. Played Divinity. You know, I've seen screen grab. I know exactly what I'm fucking in for here. And I love stories and making fantasy characters, but that grinding to a halt turn-based combat will kill it for me. I'll have wished for an Oblivion, Skyrim combat every step of the way, guaranteed as soon as I get into Baldur's Gate 3's world. And you know, the story I'm sure could be interesting, could have its thrills, but everything I've seen is I'm just not interested in the world. I don't really care about D&D. I kind of think that's a pretty lame universe. You know, I'm more into 40K. I just think that it's D&D for me has always been a very confused and stupid uh, type of fantasy world. You know, Warhammer's way better. Why would I invest my time in that? And that's just what I think. I think that Oblivion, Skyrim, and Tamriel are much more great put together fantasy worlds than D&D. And it's not something that is anything against people like that, but you know, we all have different opinions. It's just I would never want to buy it because it doesn't interest me. That's kind of the point of what I'm getting at. So my message to everybody is simple, you know, there may be things that come out and everybody tells you you should buy it and you should get it, but you know, I know my games. I'm a gaming expert. And I truly see no reason into getting Baldur's Gate 3, no matter what Jeff Keighley fucking tries to thumb down my throat. And you know what? Here today is a good example of why games like this are succeeding because they're catching the consensus of the general public about fucking LGBT issues. And I have heard in this game that you can be gay and there's gay people and you're always flirting, you're always forming relationships. Normal people like that fucking shit. That's what I'm telling you about. Is that, you know, like these games have become popular because they cater to a very special type of gamer. A gamer who is safe, comfortable Western life, and they're okay with, two lesbian fucking elves, and they think that that's right, normal. It's like it doesn't really matter in games, and you gotta really wonder to yourself how these games get rated and like pushed on us, because here we have a game that's all about fucking LGBT and all about fucking sexual relationships with anything and everything you come across. Bullshit like that that's prefaced in the modern world. You know, Starfield really annoyed me with the pronoun bullshit. And so like, you know, you really gotta wonder how they push these games because it seems like every popular game lately has some inkling towards, oh, there's a gay person in it, oh, there's a trans person in it. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't care about that in my video games. I want a good game to play, and I'm sure Baldur's Gate has some fun in it, but you can make the best game in the entire fucking planet, but as soon as you start shoving gay shit down my throat in a video game, it's losing its luster. Good. You get Skyrim, okay? So you take Skyrim. I never played it before. I love Skyrim. I played it countless hours, many multiple types of versions, VR, modded, unmodded, base game. Got it the day it came out. Legendary. Love Skyrim. Fucking love it. Okay, it's an amazing game. But first mission in the game, in that game, okay, I've never played it before. Now, and there's a trans person. You gotta go talk to a trans person. And you gotta go like do a mission for a trans person and hear about their fucking lives. I'd lose it. I'd fucking lose it. I'd be pissed. And you'd be like, it's surprising. There's none of that shit in Skyrim at all. I mean, maybe there's some quirky, possibly gay characters, but they don't make it a big point to put it in that shit. So I mean, my point is that Skyrim would have worn its welcome for me if there was a whole kinds of pronouns and all kinds of gay shit in there, and you know, you should have a relationship with this character, and relationships or whatever. Like, it's stupid bullshit of the modern era. Another example of this was God of War. I mean, I love the old God of War games. I played all of them. There's just something about the newer games. It just really kind of irks me. You know, Kratos is like a father. He's got this true kid. He's in the Norse setting now. He's kind of like a. They kind of took. It's like they took Kratos and made him a fucking house father. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've never played the games. I've not really any interest in the newer God of War games. I love Kratos. I love God of War. You know, it's good. But it's, like they pushed that one. They made that one for me just kind of you know, they usually do that. I never every video I've ever seen in that movie, Kratos looks stiff. He looks like he's a third person action character. You know, he's talking to his son about fucking goddamn feelings and shit. I'm just like, oh come on. And that game is gonna appeal to a very certain type of person, a single dad, in which there are many in our society nowadays, because the way chicks are. But there are fucking all kinds of these men who just lack any kind of father figure. So and father experience. So there's going to be a plethora of people who can relate to Kratos being a sad, lonely old dad stuck out in the fucking cold, dark world. Like it's a fucking ironic setting for these movies that any modern game that is just gonna push an agenda is gonna get paid for by the most prestigious fucking rankings. They're gonna get the most ad publicity, and it's all this bullshit. It's political meandering, and it's seeped into our gaming for a long time, but now it's kind of come to its forefront. And these are the type of games that I'm talking about. Is these games that come out, I see them, I look at the gameplay trailer, I possibly read some reviews and watch some gameplay footage of them, and I know, like there and then, I know if I'm gonna like it or not. You know, I'm a seasoned gamer. I know this kind of shit. I know what I love. I know I love to play. I know the types of stories that are interesting to me. And if a game comes out that's 10 out of 10 from every major publisher, and I look at it and I'm like, I don't care really, but like I can form my own opinions. I know the shit I like, and I'm not gonna give a fuck about a game that doesn't interest me, like Harry Potter or Dungeons Dragons, the game where you can make out with your male elf friend. Like I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. So I mean, that's today's message. Now, you know what? There was a particular game that came out a while ago, and it's a game I hate with a passion, with a core and true passion, just because I think it's a fucking stupid concept, and I hated that it was even as successful or popular as this. And that, of course, is The Last of Us 2. Now, Last of Us 2 mechanically is a pretty sound game. I've played it and I've seen it and I've watched it in motion and I've seen lots of studies on it and reviewers talking about it, and people are fucking online talking about it, shit like that. Last of Us 2 is a fucking horrible game, and it's stupid that people like it. I cannot fathom the decision that they made to take and fucking kill off Joel. That's just stupid. That had to have come. There's no other reason that that didn't come from some woman CEO at that company saying, let's fucking kill off that character. He's an awesome, strong dude who carried the first game, and and so many people resonated from the first game. I love the first game. I think that was a good one in with us. But then they come along with two, and they've fucked over the main character, and they got this buff chick who's beating everything. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's the type of thing that like a LGBT lesbian woman CEO of some game company would make a decision on. And I bet you that it was either a fucking idiot simp or just a fucking absolute fucking train wreck of a woman who just said, we're gonna make Abby. She's gonna be the best character ever. She's gonna beat up Joel, and this is the new Last of Us. No, don't do that to your fucking fan base, and that makes me instantly lose any kind of credibility for this. I don't like Abby. I don't think she's a great character. I think she's an annoying scrap heap that some fucking feminist drew up on a board and said, put this in the video game. Dumb idea. I'll argue with anybody on this. It's Last of Us 2 is a fucking train wreck, and it's an embarrassing truth of video games that it even exists in the first place. So if you like Baldur's Gate 3, I'd encourage you to tell me what you think in the comments about my stance, because it's not going to change my stance on it. I mean, someone could tell me all fucking day how good a game is. I don't care. I love video games. I know I love to play, and I love to play the games I love to play. So when a new game comes out and it gets all the praises and it's all over Reddit and people are saying there's no other game quite like it, you know what? There's lots of games. there, there's games that are 10, 15 years old that are better than it. I solemnly agree. Maybe not graphically, maybe not mechanically, maybe not complex wise in terms of technicalities, but you know what? That does not what makes a game great. What makes a game great is it interests you, that you're like, oh, cool, I want to see that, I want to do that, and and when you start off with a game world that you just know is not going to have any interest for you, that you've heard all kinds of things that suck about it, and things that you just really don't like it, it's okay to not like games, no matter how much it is. Just like music, just like movies. Yeah, if everybody tells you in the entire planet how good what's a stupid fucking star nowadays, Travis Scott or Nicki Minaj is, it doesn't matter. I think they're fucking trash. I think they're stupid people, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. No matter how many millions of likes, no matter how many millions of views, no matter anything on it, a game that doesn't interest you is simply, in your mind, not a good game. And that's the point of it. If it's not a good game to you, it's not a good game to you, and nobody can change that opinion.